Hello everyone, and welcome to another puzzle challenge video with ChessUniversity.com. This is Ryan Murphy, and I'm going to start the video off with the solution to yesterday's puzzle challenge. So if you haven't already solved this one, it's black to play and find the best move. So make sure you pause the video now if you'd like to solve it, because I will now proceed by going through the solution so we can get on to the new puzzle for today. Okay, so white has just played the move pawn on c4 captures on b5. And we discussed in the previous video that they should have exchanged off this knight probably on the previous move instead, because now this knight, which is applying pressure to f2, enables black to play this nice double attack. Queen f6, which threatens checkmate in 1 thanks to the knight helping support the attack on this square, and also threatens the undefended rook in the corner. So this is another good example of loose pieces being vulnerable to these double attacks, or contributing to their possibility. So that's the answer to this one. White should probably take on e4 to prevent the mate, and then after queen takes on a1, white can either move the bishop, which is probably what I would do, or I think there's maybe even a fancy move you could think about this here as well, with the point being that this one probably runs into this, where the rook in the corner is stuck. And also there's ideas of bishop b2 and knight c3 coming. So this one's a little bit more tricky, but bishop d3 should be fine for white, and black's probably slightly better, but it's very complicated still. So that's the best way for black to proceed from the starting position for yesterday's puzzle. Now let's move on to our final of the easy puzzles for the week. This one is white to play in mate in 2, and there's 2 different sets of mates, so you gotta find both of them, or at least find the first move that leads to both of them. And yeah, this came from a game played on the internet in a rapid time control. I think it was 10 plus 2 seconds per move. And the game between a 1600 and 1800 level player. And white did eventually win this game. Of course, white's completely winning in this position, so it's almost an academic exercise to find the fastest way to win. But it's good practice, and it fits with fundamental themes that everyone should know. So I'm going to restart to the beginning here. If you'd like to solve this and get reward points on chessuniversity.com, please do visit the description of our YouTube video where I've posted the link where you can go make a comment if you'd like to get reward points on your chessuniversity.com account. With that out of the way, we can now go back and take a quick look at this game to see how we got to this point. It began as a symmetrical king's pawn opening, 2 knights defense, knight g5, trying to attack the pawn on f7. Black played the best move, d5, and after takes, they made a very common, I would say, inaccuracy. Maybe it's better to call it a mistake, taking on d5 here with the knight. The best move is knight to a5, chasing this bishop away to try to win this pawn back. And then if white gives a check, black's best bet is to gambit a pawn like this, and then play for superiority and development. Eventually, black will chase this knight back, gain a lot of time in doing so, and they have a lot of open lines and good central control. This is the established way that black should play. There's also the moves knight d4, kind of a trickier line. Also, b5 is a tricky move. Knight d4 has the idea of playing b5. But anyway, knight takes d5 is very common, and it falls prey to this this shot, knight takes f7. I think in a previous video I may have also explained that d4 is very strong here as well, protecting the knight with the bishop and also trying to pry open files in the center. But knight takes f7 is the one most people know, and it's also very strong. The point is it's forking the queen and the rook, so really black has to take this with the king, otherwise they're losing material. And after takes queen f3 check, it's a fork, hitting the knight, hitting the king. So the only way to protect the knight, because the knight is now under attack by 2 pieces, the bishop and the queen, it's only defended by 1 piece, the black king must step forward to defend the knight. I've seen many games of scholastic players continue. Well, I've seen a lot that go like this, actually. King g8, and then there's actually a very swift mate on this diagonal. I've also seen many times king goes back to e8, and then after bishop takes knight, there's a threat of this. Black's already down a pawn. Black can't castle. The mate threat's annoying. There's a threat of this as well. It just kind of all gets out of hand very quickly, and black's already completely lost. So, yeah, king e6 is forced, and then white would just continue to pile up pressure against this pin, and it's very uncomfortable to play black in such a position. So instead of this, unfortunately, black didn't see the threat to their queen. They only saw that their rook was hanging, and so they lost their queen. And the rest of this game is not particularly interesting in terms of tactics, because white's so far ahead that it almost doesn't matter, even if they blundered a piece here. they'd still be completely winning. So we're going to move relatively quickly through most of this. White castles on the queen side, tucks the bishop back to safety, and then challenges the f-file, which is a very good decision. I think here, if black's trying to fight and try to stay alive and keep the most chances for tricks to appear down the road, they should probably play king c7 to connect the rooks and try to fight for the file, because now white can make a small mistake by giving away the f-file. It's not going to really matter, because black would have to like blunder their queen and then some for black to come back in this game, but it's still good to sort of play according to principles and sort of maximize your chances even in completely lost positions. Okay, so king c7 now. Now you can see the difference is the rook is invading, so there's additional pressure than compared to what I just showed in the previous line. Bishop f6. Now we notice the bishop on d7 is pinned. And again, basically everything here is winning because of the huge material superiority that white has here. Bishop e6 wins a bishop, for example. Knight d5 check is even winning, trying to bring the queen in along either a5 or c3. I mean, you can just pick your favorite way to win here. But knight e4 was chosen in the game, which is a very strong move. The knight is looking to come into c5, and also queen a5 check is on the agenda. So h6, takes, takes, takes. I mean, white's not really paying attention to mate here. They're sort of just cleaning up material, which is fine. There are some positions where being like extra greedy and going after little bits of material is not super relevant to the position. Like, for example, if you're already up like 2 or 3 pawns and you go after like the 3rd or the 4th pawn and your opponent has counterplay, it's way more important that you keep the position simplified than start hunting after irrelevant pawns. This is a case where, again, white's so far ahead that the blunder potential is like nearly 0. So there's no cost to going after this extra material, except that it takes more time to win the game, but that's pretty minor. Bishop g4. I can concoct a way for white to lose. It takes a lot of work though. Something like this. And even here, it's not losing. If white plays queen e1, which is pretty sad from black's perspective. Of course, the hope would be mate on d1. But of course, white doesn't have to oblige. So you can see how it's just like very, very hard to lose this position with white, even if you're trying. King b6, queen b4 check, and now it should be a very swift checkmate. King a6. The quickest way to do this would have just been to take on b7, and then bishop c4 is really hard to stop. It's going to be mate in a couple, but okay. Bishop c4 check immediately was played, so black got to survive a little bit longer with their king. He takes b5 is a very good move. Take on c6 is a very good move. And here we have our starting position that I showed at the beginning, where it is white to play and mate into. So it's really good to know these fundamental mating patterns. There's 2 very key, I would say, recurring themes that you can use here to mate the king in the center. So hopefully you guys can solve those. Post on YouTube or on chessuniversity.com if you want to. Otherwise, I'll see everyone in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching.